people are afraid to go on the record and vote on these things. I say vote on it, up or down, win or lose. Don't be afraid of the vote, and go on.
All that was allowed anyway was on the National Confederate Memorial Day to be allowed to have the Confederate flags there on that day. That's all that's been allowed anyway, isn't that right?
Yeah, I think that's been the president's policy, and they were just going to codify that into the appropriations bill. Again, I am so frustrated because of this nonsense. My consequential bill to constituents in West Virginia and Kentucky and Ohio that would have defunded this EPA overreach would have passed. I guarantee you, Tom, it was going to pass. Democrats were going to vote for it as well as Republicans, yet it didn't get a vote because of this nonsense. Now, I will say one thing about this whole, ruckus is we're having this debate because of the unfortunate circumstance that happened in South Carolina. And my hearts go out to those people, but I will say this. I am glad they are blaming a flag and not a gun this time, because usually they're blaming the gun. They look for everything that could be wrong except for the real reason here, and they go after it. Now, if they were to try and say what would or could have prevented this, all you have to do is to go back and look a year or two earlier where there was going to be a mass shooting in a church, and somebody who had brought their gun to church had stopped it.
Right.
And that could have happened there, except this particular church disallowed any guns coming into the church, another gun-free zone,
right,
which makes people less safe. I think that's why this time they wanted to have the debate on a flag instead of a gun, because they realized a gun would have been the only way to stop this, a gun in the hands of a law-abiding citizen.
And it's just amazing to me, no matter how you feel about the Confederate flag, nobody anywhere, whether it was South Carolina or the federal government or anywhere else, was talking about the Confederate flag prior to this shooting at the church in Charleston, South Carolina.
No, and Tom, I've talked about these before. I call these weapons of mass distraction.
Mm-hmm.
When something this small gets blown up to this level and consumes all the news cycles and all of our time on the floor of the House of Representatives, watch out, because they're doing something else in the other hand that you can't see.
Mm. Yep.
And as Congress goes back to their districts in August, so in the next 3 weeks, a lot of stuff is going to happen in the House of Representatives, and they would just love for you to be paying attention to nothing but a flag when they, for instance, gut our patent system. That's coming up next week, and I hope to get to speak about that again with you, how they're trying to gut the intellectual property system here that has served us for over 200 years and is in our Constitution, to advantage the big companies and disadvantage the little guys. They're going to reauthorize the Ex-Im Bank.